the Pistol Packers of Vengeance Trail. That is what they called us.
We won't forget that right away.
Indeed we won't. What started all the trouble? Do you remember, Sheriff?
Well, in a way, I guess I did. It so happened that my daughter Jill had taken the stage and gone on a shopping trip to Butte City. At this same time, the market was right for my cattle. I had hundreds of them to sell. For a long time. Jack and George. Fine fellows. Fine reputation. Absolutely trustworthy. I watched them talk. I liked the idea I was getting. A good idea. I followed them over to Slim's place. Waited for them to come out, told them my idea, and we turned to town to talk it over.
The sheriff's idea was to have us rangers sell his cattle for him. He told us the details of his plan, where the cattle were, where and when they were to be sold, and what we were to do with the money.
It must have been about this time that one of the crooks was spying on us.
We left with the sheriff and rode over to his ranch to see the cattle.
In the meantime, that crooked little spy was on his way to tip off his buddies. They knew there'd be a lot.
And they had all the information necessary to stage a hold-up.
The Red Rangers and I went to my ranch. I showed them the 2 herds I wanted sold.
They were a fine-looking bunch of cattle, Sheriff.
Yes, they were all fine animals. I was mighty proud of them. I knew they'd bring me big money. The Red Rangers and I went to my ranch. I showed them the 2 herds I wanted sold.
They were a fine-looking bunch of cattle, Sheriff.
Yes, they were all fine animals. I was mighty proud of them. I knew they'd bring me big money. Yes, Dad, but while you were planning the sale of your cattle, the Indians were planning the kidnap of your daughter. You should... I didn't know that, Jill. You couldn't help it. bought new clothes for college. The stage was behind schedule, so I started walking down the road, but my trunk was too heavy, so I decided to wait.
Much happened in the meantime. We sold the cattle, got the money from the bank, and started back to see the sheriff at his ranch.
Luck had been with me, too. By this time I had managed to escape from the Indians. They had all gotten drunk on their firewater, and I stole away through the woods. When I came to the road, I hoped someone would come along before those Indians missed me. I was so glad to see the Red Rangers.
We were mighty shocked to hear of the kidnapping,
And mighty glad to see Jill.
we all started back to town. It was a beautiful day, but hot. When the horse began to get tired, we decided to stop at the next water hole.
The Rangers left me to guard the money box.
George and I went down to the water hole. George carried the bucket, and I kept on the lookout for Indians, fully expecting them to be following Jill.
I spend all summer with her on my mind. But I'll never be branded, never be broke. I'm a carefree range riding, drifting cowpoke.
All of a sudden, the crooks were upon us. They demanded the money box. We had no choice.
They also grabbed my blue trunk. I told them to keep their dirty hands off my wardrobe. The crooks were off, and we sadly drove on to town.
Remember how we hated to see the sheriff and dreaded to tell him his money was gone.
When we got back to town, we decided to split up. Jack would take Jill home, and I would look for the sheriff. I had just left them when the sheriff stepped out of his store. He was fighting mad and sailed right into me. I had no chance to explain. Rumors about his money had gotten to town ahead of us. Jack and I hadn't gone far when I happened to glance around and see the fight. I dashed back. I told my father how we had been robbed, that it was not at all the fault of the Rangers. Dad felt terrible. Dad and George were the best of friends. I immediately organized a posse. Serious business, yes? But will you ever forget George's takeoff on his stubborn pony? We trailed the crooks to the old stone tower. Some distance away and closed in on them. We proceeded to the base of the tower with caution. Gunfire had already
started. We finally surrounded the tower.
The crooks escaped over the hill. I discovered the empty money box and called the Red Rangers. The money was gone. We were burned up. Nothing to do now but return to town and try to get another lead on the crooks.
The posse was reorganized, and we were after them again. Jill had heard that the crooks were at the old hideout. When we got there, Harlan and Pat had already opened fire on the crooks. We were getting no place fast. George had an idea.
Jack agreed it was worth trying. I told Harlan what was up, and we crawled off.
To a little jail on the edge of town. We locked him up so he can get in touch with the sheriff. He would transfer.
Everything was okay, except for one fact. The little crook who had fallen out of the window, wounded, had escaped and later returned to free his crooked pal. And now the crooks were on the loose again. Our sheriff was mighty unhappy.
But the posse was a good one, and we were hot on their trail.
Yes, we trailed them straight to Butte City.
There we met Elizabeth, who told us that she had seen a tough-looking gang enter an abandoned house. Last Chance House, it was called, and it really seemed our last chance at these crooks. It was getting dark. We had to work fast.
Was with us. The crooks were drunk and sprawled under the picture of Two-Gun Molly.
of the sheriff's money already gone down the drain?
Our old friend Elizabeth had been correct and had given us an excellent lead.
Last Chance House was a mess, and the place refilled liquor. We marched the crooks out, Pat and Holland bringing up the rear. This time we were determined they should not escape.
Well, I was so happy to have those crooks locked up in jail and to have my daughter back that I decided to throw a party. I asked Cowboy Harlan to deliver the invitations, and he was off on his horse. The night of the party, the guests arrived. Buck, Harlan and Susan, Pat, George, Jack and Jane, Peggy and Bill.
It was a real celebration. Best party the town had seen in a long time.
Later in the evening, Jill and the girls went upstairs. I thought Jill was going to show the girls the new clothes she had bought in Butte City. First thing we knew, she was bringing her trunk downstairs. It had me puzzled. Why show us her new clothes?
It was to be a surprise.
It sure was a surprise, because when she opened that little blue trunk, there was my money.
Let's hear about it, Jill.
Yes, Jill, tell us. Remember when you Rangers went to get water for the horse? I was left to guard the money box.
Yes?
Well, I did a quick switch. My clothes went into the money box. The money went into my trunk. A woman's intuition, I guess. Or maybe just a joke. And what a joke it turned out to be. My daughter home, my money back, and the crooks in jail. Happy endings.
Happy days!